There's your code.
People all over the world are watching.
As long as my mother watches, I'm happy.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And I think all of you will agree that this has the makings of the most successful exhibit that we've ever had at Rockefeller Center. We're very proud of the tradition of doing public art and continuing what the Rockefeller family started in the early 30s here at the center. The center is one of the great public venues, and it's a place where every visitor to New York comes to look and see what America stands for and what's so great about New York City. We have great partners on this project. We have the Public Art Fund, and we have Nespresso, which makes great coffee. I have it every morning.
Oh.
I also would especially like to add my thanks to those that have already been expressed, to Nicholas Baum and to Frederick Levy for being with us here today and for really organizing this great show. What most of you don't know is that this show was put together over an extensive period of time and was installed at night, not during the day. And it took 3 days and 3 full nights of installation to make this possible. So, of course, our man of the hour is none other than Ugo Rondinone, who is that Italian sound from Switzerland, right? Is really the man of the hour. He's a great artist. He's an artist whose work I've followed for the last 15, almost 20 years. And it's sensational. Everything from the beginnings of his career right through the present, these beautiful figures that he's created for us. And for that, we're truly very, very thankful. Let me say finally that without the help of the mayor's team, the Deputy Mayor, Patty Harris, and the Commissioner of Cultural Affairs, Kate Levin, you guys just make everything happen in this city that has anything to do with what makes this city great. And for that, all of us in New York are really thankful to you. So as they say, the last and the best is our mayor. We've had a great mayor for almost 12 years, and we're all going to miss him like hell. So let me introduce the greatest mayor New York City has ever had, my good pal, Mike Bloomberg.
I've got to think about that like hell. I'm not sure that was a compliment. Let me then say this. While you were talking, it occurred to me, 3 days to install this. You were bragging about that, but God made heaven and earth, the whole thing in 6. I mean, and you're bragging about how quickly you did this. Anyways, we're just glad that you did it, and I think you deserve an enormous amount of credit, Jerry. Yes, as does the Public Art Fund. Does this substitute for the Doris Friedman Awards, or no? We're still going to do that? Okay, well, anyways, good morning, everyone. Whenever I do come to Rockefeller Center, it does seem like we're unveiling something gigantic. Usually it's a fantastic tree, and I'm standing next to Al Roker. Al and Jerry and I, I don't know about Al, but Jerry and I at a Christmas tree lighting, it's sort of, you'll have to work on that. And anyways, today we're unveiling a fantastic piece of public art. And, of course, that makes sense that these huge spectacles are installed right here in this plaza because this is one of the world's most treasured public spaces. People from around the world, when you come to New York, you come to Rockefeller Center. And thanks to the Spire family, it is a wonderful place to work, but also a tourist mecca that really does tell people about New York, and I get a great chance to meet each other and understand what is wonderful about America. And one reason for that has been the Public Arts Fund's commitment over the past several years to present some of the world's most exciting and memorable public art. And today it is no exception, as we proudly welcome Human Nature by the artist Unveil Rondinone. How was that? Well, yeah, but because he did it, he led the way. So, now they always say that those that lead the way are the ones with arrows in their backs, but nevertheless, thanks to Jerry, I got it right. The exhibition is organized by the Public Art Fund and Tishman Speyer, the owner of Rockefeller Center. Human Nature consists of 9 sculptures, and they are made entirely of stone slabs assembled into human forms. Each stands between 16 and 20 feet tall, and the heaviest weighs about 15 tons. And this exhibition will be free for public viewing from today through June 7th. It is sure to provoke a lot of thought and enable New Yorkers and visitors to see a cherished landmark with new eyes. That is exactly what the things that the Public Art Fund does so well. For 36 years, this nonprofit has been presenting stimulating, engaging public programs accessible to all New Yorkers and transform corners of our city into living exhibits with works by more than 500 artists around the world. And we know exhibitions like this are important to our city. In fact, almost half of all the more than 52 million tourists that come here each year come here to see and participate with our cultural attractions, including exciting public art exhibitions like this one. Our arts and culture community is a major force of our city's overall economy, supports more than 220,000 jobs. Just think about that. Culture supports 220,000 jobs. That's an awful lot more than most cities have people. Visitors who come to New York to experience our city's art and culture contribute something like $21 billion a year to New York's economy. And we do expect that the Human Nature exhibition will help attract thousands more this year. And I did want to thank, in particular, Doris's daughter, Susan Friedman. Smile. She is the president of the Public Art Fund for making today possible, and she's done really a phenomenal job bringing dynamic exhibits like Human Nature to all 5 boroughs. And this city would not be what it is if it wasn't for Susan and her 2 sisters and the legacy that their mother gave them. And also our host, Tishman Speyer, great supporter of arts in New York City. And I also want to thank Nespresso USA and its president, Frederick Levy, who's with us, for their leading support on this project. And we're also joined by the director and chief curator of the Public Art Fund, Nicholas Bohm. Nicholas, you're going to speak for 20 minutes, half an hour or something. Oh, you're going to, Frederick, you're supposed to go first. I apologize. No, but it does say that here. You're right. I just jumped right over it. Levy speaks, it says, right here. Want me to hold your cup?
Oh, it's okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, everyone. I think we need a coffee today. It's the beautiful city of New York, but very cold. It's an honor for Nespresso to be a premium sponsor of Unveil Rondinone at Human Nature at Rockefeller Center, and to be part of an event that celebrates artistic expression at this famous landmark. For me, as a French citizen, and now in New York for 7 years, of course, this place is very special. I was used to come as a tourist, and now, of course, I enjoy this place every day going to work. As a brand rooted in design, Nespresso, we are constantly seeking inspiration through art and culture around the world. And we are very proud to be part of this exhibit with the Public Art Fund today. And Human Nature is the first of the 2 outdoor public art exhibits sponsored by Nespresso in 2013. And we are thrilled to be back at the end of the year in the same place in the Channel Gardens. I look forward to speak with you today and, of course, around a cup of coffee and enjoy this very special experience with you. Thank you.
Frederick, thank you. And now we have Nicholas.
Thank you so much, Mayor Bloomberg, the man who really has done more than anybody to make New York City the most vibrant center for public art in the world.
Thank you. I'm not sure it's true, but
Also, on behalf of Susan, we're very honored to have First Deputy Mayor Patty Harris and Cultural Affairs Commissioner Kate Levin here with us. Mr. Speyer, you have made Rockefeller Center pulse like the heart of New York City, and public art has always been integral to that incredible vision. And I'm so excited that Public Art Fund has once again had the chance to collaborate with you and your team to create another extraordinary new commission for Rockefeller Center. Monsieur Levy, this exhibition could not have happened without Nespresso, and as we've heard, this exhibition was installed overnight, and if it wasn't for your coffee, I think we'd still be working on it right now. Thank you so much for your support. It was now, I think, more than 2 years ago, Ugo, that I invited you to come up with a proposal for this extraordinary space. I had no idea what you would come up with, but I knew it would be extraordinary. And in fact, Ugo's developed an entirely new body of work in response to this site, the first time he's ever worked with stone. The astonishing result is now here surrounding us, 9 massive sculptures that Ugo calls human nature. They've just arrived here at Rockefeller Center, but I think already they feel timeless. Ugo, thank you for your tremendous dedication. What you've created is a breathtaking gift to the people of New York City and beyond.
Well, Nicholas, thank you. And now we have the real star of the day, the artist, Unveil Rondinone. It sounds like the announcer at the New York Knicks when they have an Italian playing and he'd score a basket. Rondinone, right here. Congratulations, all kidding aside. It is wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Ugo Rondinone.
Ugo.
Thank you, Nicholas, and the terrific Public Art Fund team. Thank you, Jerry Speyer, and everybody at Tishman Speyer. Thank you, Frederick Levy from Nespresso. Thank you, Mayor Bloomberg. The opportunity to make a major work for Rockefeller Center is one that few artists are ever given. And I'm grateful to everybody who made this possible. As you can imagine, a project like this takes more than one Swiss artist with hammer and chisel. I want to thank my studio team and collaborators for all their hard work in the last 2 years. I'm not much for speeches, but I do want to express how much this means to me as an artist. I have lived here for 15 years, and now with my work in the middle of the Rockefeller Center, I feel like a true New Yorker. The Rockefeller Center is one of the most powerful and magical places on earth, and a symbol for everything America stands for: big visions and hard work. I hope that people in New York will enjoy this celebration between human and nature. Thank you all. Thank you.
Before we take some questions, let me just try to summarize for our Spanish-speaking New Yorkers. El arte es muy importante en la vida cultural y económica de nuestra ciudad. Hoy, gracias al apoyo del Fondo de Artes Públicas, estamos revelando una nueva obra de arte que estará en exhibición sin costo al público hasta el 7 de junio in Rockefeller Center. And with that, we'll be happy to take some questions on topic. I'm sure the Post has one. They're coming right up. I can see them looking to do that. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, what are your impressions of this artwork?
I just think it stands out. It's really amazing. You know, just what always impressed me with some of these things is how do the artists think of it? It's just rock, except it's not just rock. It's what he's done with the rock, how he's picked the pieces and sculptured them, and how he's put them together, and the placement where they are. And it's exactly the sort of thing you want. People are going to say, hey, look at that one. I like that. I don't like that. What does this one mean? Why did he do that? That's exactly what art should do. It should get you thinking and talking and exercise your brain. And I think this is something that a lot of people will come over. They'll talk about it and say, I got to go see that. And I hope New Yorkers, the tourists we know come for these things. It's the New Yorkers that live here that we've got to really make sure that they understand all of the things we have in all 5 boroughs. And there's great art, visual arts, performing arts. There's everything that from every culture in the world here. Other questions on topic? Yes, miss, from the way in the back. Hang on, use the microphone.
Okay.
Our microphone.
Now that you pronounced the name of Ugo Rondinone so well, I wondered, honestly, did you know Ugo Rondinone before as a Swiss artist?
I'm sure our paths crossed sometimes, maybe in a previous incarnation, but you know, I didn't grow up knowing great artists like Ugo, and
Rondinone.
it's right. It's fun to meet all these people. I just the best part of my job is just meeting people from around the world, come from all different cultures and all different skill sets, and particularly in the world of art. My parents always thought that I was a Philistine. I'm trying to prove them wrong. Anything else? If not, we'll take a 2-second break and then we'll take some off-topic questions. Thank you.
Everybody looking here? To the right, please. And to the right altogether, please.
We need to have a picture with Nicholas, Susie, and Kate, Patty,
Would you like a cup coffee? You don't have to photograph with it. Yeah. Just It's so harsh.
One more picture. Behind the podium. Right at this side, it's fine.
We sponsored a U.S. An ASPCA party with her this past season. Oh, I'm going to text Valerie right now.
I wrote myself a note to find out.
Just get used to slide and change language.
I'll ask you later.
We're going to do off-topic Q&A. Just Don't forget to identify yourself if you have a question. We have a mic. It's here, right? Yeah. Sit anywhere. Did you say awesome? Yeah. We have an iPad. It's not.
Are we ready? Any off-topic questions? Why don't we? This young lady stuck her hand up much quicker than everybody else. Yes.
Hi, it's Jen Firmino with the Daily News. There was a story today in the Daily News about people.
Which everybody read.
About people in the law department telecommuting.
Yeah, I checked. It's a very few people, and we only do it when it's absolutely necessary. If somebody has a reason why they just can't come to work, then we do it. But basically, a story was, I think, vastly overcharacterized or exaggerated the number of people that are working at home. I happen to think that there's an enormous value to be at work with your fellow employees, where you share ideas, where you say things at the water cooler that you probably wouldn't bother to say or wouldn't want to say if you have to type it. And well, there's some things that you can do occasionally. Generally, I think that people are much more productive, and the organization functions much better, and there's much more appreciation of each other's skills and contributions when everybody is in the same place. We get a microphone over this young lady.
Dana Rubenstein, Capital New York. There was a Siena poll out today that showed that the vast majority of New Yorkers, like 80% or something, want legislative term limits in Albany. Given the amount of corruption there recently, do you have any thoughts on that idea?
Well, it's up to the Albany legislature. They would have to vote term limits. The argument for term limits is that you do get change. The arguments against it is that you have somebody good, and if the public wants to reappoint them, reelect them, they are denied that opportunity. I thought, the New York Times has always argued against term limits, arguing it's the public's right to pick whoever they want, and if they pick bad people, they're going to have to suffer, but that's what democracy is all about. You can do it either way. In my case, the city council was willing to overturn, change term limits, go to 3 terms for one time, and that's what they wanted to do then, and I certainly did support that. Before then, I had various times said I think term limits are fundamentally a good idea. But you can make a very cogent case in the other direction, too, that it does take away the public's right to reelect. And why should a small group of people, opinion makers who don't like that, have say and not let the public vote? That's democracy is voting. Pass it right here behind you. Okay, well, you're no longer behind you. Pick one.
Mr. Mayor, there's been much talk
Please identify yourself.
Hi, Peter Haskell with CBS Radio. There's been much talk about ratcheting up security for various events. I'm just curious your feeling about striking a balance.
Look, we live in a very dangerous world. We know there are people who want to take away our freedoms. New Yorkers probably know that as much, if not more, than anybody else after the terrible tragedy of 9/11. There are a number of times we think that people had plotted against us and probably other parts of the country, and then they just decided that good security was too dangerous for them, and they didn't do it. We've not had an attack in New York. We had a terrible tragedy in Boston. I think what we have to come out of Boston is, number one, thoughts and prayers and help for those who were the families of those who were killed or those who were injured. Number two, a re-understanding that freedom is not free, and we're always going to have to keep up our defenses. And I suppose, lastly, that there is no ways to be 100% safe. But I think it's fair to say we think that New York is as safe today as it's been for an awful long time. We have an awful lot more resources deployed, an awful lot more training. We will talk to the people in Boston and try to learn whatever they've learned and put that into the database and into our thoughts about what kind of protection we should provide and when it's appropriate. What we can't do is let the protection get in the way of us enjoying our freedoms. You still want to let people who practice their religion, no matter what that religion is. And I think one of the great dangers here is going and categorizing anybody from one religion as a terrorist. That's not true, and that's not what that would let the terrorists win. That's what they want us to do. Or saying that certain kinds of speech should be prohibited. A lot of things people say, which I find despicable and disgraceful. But if you're going to have a First Amendment, you have to have a First Amendment. And we should let people say what they want to say. We have to have protection. We have to understand that in the world going forward, we're going to have more cameras and that kind of stuff. That's good in some senses, but it's different than what we are used to. And the people who are worried about privacy have a legitimate worry, but we live in a complex world where you're going to have a level of security greater than you did back in the olden days, if you will. And our laws and our interpretation of the Constitution, I think, have to change. If you go back and look at guns, when the Second Amendment was written, people had muskets. Nobody had AK-47s. Clearly, the Supreme Court has recognized that you have to have different interpretations of the Second Amendment and what it applies to, and reasonable gun laws, the courts have said, are fine. And here we're going to have to live with reasonable levels of security. You go to magnetometers are a good example. Sadly, we have magnetometers at some of our schools all the time, and we have some magnetometers that rove around. Is that good? I don't know. It really says something bad about us that we have to do it. But our obligation, first and foremost, is to keep our kids safe in the schools. Our first and foremost, to keep you safe if you go to a sporting event. First and foremost, is to keep you safe if you walk down the streets or go into our parks. Cannot let the terrorists put us in a situation where we can't do those things. And the ways to do that is to provide what we think is an appropriate level of protection. And then, the next person right here, where'd our...
Dave Seifman, New York Post. Last week, Cass Holloway gave a speech in which he said the budget going forward...
Who was Cass Holloway again?
...is fragile. Do you think over the next 4 years, the next mayor will be able to run the city without raising taxes?
Sure, we've done it now for a long time. We did raise taxes when I first came into office, but after that, not. And the city's finances, while fragile, are in reasonably good condition. Our tax revenues seem to be on track. I'll get a briefing, I think it's tomorrow. But as of this morning, when I just casually talked to our budget director, I think the news is that the economy is doing what we expected it to do. We have to keep watching our budget. We've had something like 9 different programs to eliminate the gap, and 12 programs? The number 12 comes to my mind all of a sudden. There's going to be a real... the next mayor has to continue to do the same thing, to realize we want services, but we can only pay so much for those services. The public doesn't want their taxes to go up, and we're going to have to find ways to either limit the amount of the services or find ways to do them more efficiently. Just think about what the state legislature just did to us. We want to make sure our kids are safe when they go to school. We want to use cameras to technology to